ladies, and welcome to another edition of Menopause Made Easy with Tanya. I am your host, and I have a beautiful guest on today, Peter, and he is going to get into our minds. Yes, he is about hypnotherapy, and I've had a few guests in the past, but I always love hearing different people's perspective on hypnotherapy, how it has integrated into their story. And Peter had an awakening, let's say, in 2003 when he had leukemia and things started shifting. So we're going to jump into his story. And I also know for many of you that have listened to me that until you fix what's between your ears, it's really challenging. So I spent many a decade forcing, talking negatively about myself. Why can't I just stop eating sugar? And it really did a number on me. And one day I just said, enough. And that's when I embraced a journey to vibrant living. My life completely changed, and I really started to work on my mindset. And I know in this quick fix culture, we're all about, like, I need a quick fix. I want it done. And I like to present health tools, right? And so this is just another tool that you can use to help you in your journey. So Peter, welcome. Thank you for being here with me today. And we're going to dive in about, let's start with your awakening, your leukemia, your story.
Sure. I mean, it was asymptomatic. I was volunteering to be a firefighter in my town in Connecticut. The first day, it was an extensive physical, and the doctor said, "Wow, you're in really good shape for 41 years old," which is how old I was at the time. "Come back and give blood." Went back and gave blood, and then all of these alarm bells went off. And when I finally got hold of someone at the doctor's office, they were very grave, and you could hear the stress in their voice. And they basically said, "We think that you have Lyme disease and a rare form of leukemia." And I just went immediately into denial. I'm like, that's bullshit. That can't possibly be the case. Let me give blood again. So I did, came back with the same results. And that's really what began this, what I would call an odyssey, like, Homer's famous story about the Odyssey and the Iliad, of going on this path that ultimately led me to this.
So that could have been, I always say that it's beautiful when somebody has an experience, and then from that experience, they have a story, and you lit up, and now you are helping other people, which is what I do. So we're both with huge hearts wanting to awaken people to leading healthier and happier lives. So how did you get into hypnotherapy? Was it the first thing you discovered? Or denial is so huge. Like I say to people, I was in denial for so long about how food was affecting me. And listen, 2003 is a long time ago. And I know during that time, the information that we had then is not what we have now. So you kind of have to go back, everybody, to there was no internet. There was, but there wasn't the social media. I don't even know if I really had a phone. I think I had a flip phone or Nokia, maybe. It was just a different time. And so we can actually speed things up now just because of technology, just because of the great universe that we live in. So it's exciting. So back then, after denial, how long did denial last? And then what did you kind of start to do to, get yourself where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, denial for me wasn't very long. I moved pretty quickly from denial into anger. And anger and grief were the two that I was really very well acquainted with, and I spent quite a bit of time in that. I did go on to become a volunteer firefighter and an EMT, and that strangely helped me with this path. It helped me to navigate and manage the fear that I was having. And it helped me to put into perspective the vagaries of life, how we all accept on some level, intellectually, I guess, that life can come or go anytime. But doing that kind of work, oh my God, I was seeing and working with people who were in the worst possible crises and people who were dead.
Oh, yeah.
Including young people.
Yeah.
And when you encounter that, you're like, oh my God, 10 minutes ago, this 18-year-old and this 22-year-old were alive. They probably didn't have any health concerns at all. And I was here obsessing about my situation.
Mm.
And then 10 minutes later, I'm standing there in the presence and my hands on two dead bodies that are kids.
Mm. Oh my
And
gosh,
that
that
really had that incident in particular had a massive impact. None of us is guaranteed anything. I mean, I already accepted that intellectually, but not emotionally. And that really helped to put everything in perspective and helped me to embrace more of that concept of each day is a gift. I'm lucky to be, have a birthday and all these other things. And I'm not saying that was the one thing that turned, but it was an example of this period of time between diagnosis and being trained as a hypnotherapist, which was about 3 years,
mm-hmm.
where things were shifting for a variety of reasons. And I was moving from the purely physical cause and effect of life, why me, being pissed off and angry, into being a little bit more philosophical, starting to believe that everything happens for a reason, starting to understand that our minds control our bodies. And when that really fully locked in, that's when I thought, okay, I've got to go get trained in this.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. You know what? There's nothing like seeing examples of like that. I mean, I truly live like that now. For many years, I wasted the days of my life. And now every day I wake up with just complete gratitude that I am here to shine my light. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I am so blessed because I have lost many friends. And there's
Mm.
times I talk to them and I say, I am here to shine your light. Um, and I don't forget about them because they help me step into my fear, into my passion, and they keep me going. So I'm blessed every day I have on this beautiful earth to share. And I love that story. That's very nice. And so what about hypnotherapy made you, because listen, like I said at the beginning, your mind is everything. Your mind
Mm-hmm.
is everything. And listen, I know all about subconscious patterning. I know you can't. I love Joe Dispenza. I love
Yeah.
Biology of Beliefs by Bruce Lipton. I love Greg
Yeah, me
Grace.
too.
I mean, I have been studying these works of art for such a long time, and there's other amazing people as well, but I truly resonate with everything they're saying. And I just through the years have been able to peel layers and just get deeper and deeper into their work and feel it deeper and deeper into myself. And it's so exciting. So it must be so joyous when somebody comes to you that has been struggling with, we're talking about women here. A lot of women come to me for weight loss, and weight loss is just a sign or a symptom of something deeper, in my opinion.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, right. And so, you help them with what they're coming in for, but I know it's not about the food, right? And so besides cleaning up the basics. But so how,
Sure.
when we're talking to, and this is hypnotherapy is for everybody. My children have been exposed to it. I've been exposed to it. Like, what is it for somebody who's listening and they're like, what are you talking about? Because we are hypnotized all day long, everybody. Just
Correct.
FYI, by what you listen to. It is forming your beliefs, your actions, your thoughts, what you do. So, it maybe explain to somebody what hypnotherapy is and how you use it to help people.
Okay. Well, I guess the beginning of that basic, quick description would be there's two parts of your mind. Most people are acquainted with this: the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Conscious mind represents about 5% of your brain's processing power. And the real elephant, it's like we're riding an elephant. The rider on the elephant is the conscious mind, and the elephant is the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a problem in your life, when something's just not working for you, it's probably because your conscious and your subconscious are not in agreement with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the rider can't force the elephant to do something the elephant doesn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The subconscious mind holds all of your beliefs. A belief is just an emotion and an idea that get married to each other. The belief part of it, the idea part of it, excuse me, doesn't have to be correct. It doesn't have to be false, but it has an emotion attached to it. And we run patterns. Most of our patterns are really good, like tying your shoe, driving your car,
Mm-hmm.
speaking the English language, walking across the room. But some of those patterns are causing problems for you. And those patterns are kind of wired in a way that your computer is wired to behave in certain ways. And until you rewrite that code, it's very hard to change.
Sorry, I'm trying to shift here because the
Hypnotherapy
internet.
is a way of,
The internet's kind of going in and out, so sorry for everybody that I've been shifting here. Okay. So, yes, the I lost you for a second there. The elephant or the person on the elephant, the okay. Continue, sorry.
Right. The person on the elephant in this metaphor is your conscious mind. The elephant itself is the subconscious mind. And you cannot force that elephant to do something it doesn't want to do through brute force. You're not strong enough relative to the elephant. And that's what willpower is. It's trying to push or force that elephant to go where you want it to go. And the idea is to work with the elephant, to help the elephant feel comfortable doing what you want it to do. Because when we talk about things like self-sabotage, I don't think of it as sabotage. It feels like it looks like it, but it's not. It's the subconscious mind behaving in a way that it thinks it's protecting you.
Yeah.
Why would the subconscious want you to be obese? Well, because maybe you were attacked as a child, sexually abused, and this is its way of defending you from this. Maybe you starved to death in a past lifetime, or one of your relatives did, and that got passed through to your DNA. And your subconscious is like, we're not going to let you starve. And so we're fighting the elephant because we don't really understand what the motivation is in the subconscious mind to create this condition.
Oh.
When really we need to align with the subconscious and gently help it understand that fear is no longer relevant. That fear is something that is now gone away, and so it can stand down. Now, the other thing I want to say about hypnosis is that everyone goes in and out of this state all day, every day anyway, without a hypnotist present. We just don't know that's what it is because we've been taught it's a catatonic, sleep-like state induced by a person called a hypnotist where the subject doesn't know what they're doing. They do whatever they're told and they don't remember anything. But hypnosis really is you're driving your car and you pull into your driveway and you can't remember driving the last 15 minutes. It's working in your garden, washing your hands for dinner and realizing you have a cut on the back of your hand, but you didn't remember getting the cut. Mm-hmm. Or in the shower, you've got a bruise that big on your thigh and you don't know where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in hypnosis, you're just in a focused state of concentration. And everything outside that tiny diameter of concentration and focus, it's like it doesn't exist, including time. When people are in love, time just goes like this. When they're watching a movie that they're totally absorbed in, time goes like this because they're in a hypnotic state. That's what it is. Totally natural to every person.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so beautifully said. So beautifully said, because I think there's some fear sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we, like I said, I've been in my garden and I've had that cut. That's funny that you say
Mm-hmm.
that. I've been in my garden and time has disappeared.
Yes.
I even teach fitness, and this is really interesting that sometimes when I'm teaching a class, it can feel like 5 minutes, and other times it can feel a lot longer. And that
Mm-hmm.
just shows me if I'm in my flow or not.
Yes.
That time and time is an illusion. It's a very interesting subject, but we won't go down that rabbit hole today.
It is an illusion, and it's an important concept in my work because my work ultimately gets to root cause.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody comes in with a weight issue, if they come in with migraine headaches, if they come in suffering from grief, we're talking ultimately about a symptom, right? The manifestation of a deeper root cause, like gardening. It's the root system that gives life to the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the root system that I'm concerned with when a person walks in based on anything that they're coming in for. And I can guarantee you that the root of their symptom is something that occurred in what we call the past.
Mm-hmm.
The subconscious mind, to the subconscious, everything is now. There is no such thing as past, present, and future to the subconscious. Everything is now. And so we have to deal with that concept if we want to resolve the past. Because P.S., the past is exerting its influence on you today. That's why you have issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Minimum, your subconscious pattern was created in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd also like to point out that the subconscious relationship to time, which is there is no time, everything is now, is the quantum reality of time.
Yeah.
It's only our conscious mind that has a concept of past, present, and future.
Yeah. I know because everything's now, right? So I was listening to something
Yeah.
this morning and they say if you think about you as a 7-year-old getting in trouble, it's now. If you
Yes, it
think about
is.
if you think about going on a trip in the future, that's now,
Correct.
right?
That
And
is correct. And
yeah,
that's why when we say if a person gets triggered, what we mean is the past is being triggered inside of them in the present moment.
yeah.
And it could be a word, it could be a phrase, it could be the tone of voice, it could be the smell of a certain kind of cologne, it could just be their mind wanders back to some scene that is in their mind. And the subconscious, whose job it is to protect you, steps up with a fight or flight sympathetic nervous system response because
Mm-hmm.
it thinks you're in danger, even though the incident occurred 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many of us are spending? I mean, listen, I was there. I spent my life stuck in the past with my sugar addiction. And I just kept, it became my story of I was, my parents separated. I felt rejected. I felt, all of these things. And I didn't have the language, the emotional capacity, the understanding of how to deal with it. So I just kept eating it. And and again, we lived in a different time, so I'm not going to, um, I'm not going to beat myself up about it anymore. I moved through it. So with resources and learning and understanding about, you were just talking about power of the mind and hypnosis and grace and compassion. And this is where a lot of Joe Dispenza's work comes in, and the biology of belief is like you are what you think about. And you can, if the longer you keep telling yourself that story, the more entrained it gets into your body. And, I love um, the work of like so it'd be interesting how hypnosis deals with this, but when you um, are so uncomfortable in your life that when you try to get healthier, you sabotage yourself because you're not used to those feelings in your body, your mind, whatever. So you bring yourself back to where you were. So do you think, like looking at people who get hypnotherapy, do you ever see people regress all the way back, regress a little bit, never regress? Like I know it's a process, there's no one and done kind of thing, but just eh, I believe it's a pathway. So you're opening up. But what's your expert opinion on that?
Well, my feeling is that although there are similarities between the mind and a computer, just
Mhm.
like there are similarities between our vascular system and the plumbing in your house, we are not those things. In other
Mhm.
words, we are not binary. We are not zeros and ones. We are not black and white. We are shades. We are degrees, which is also the ancient wisdom around this. And that progress for us rarely is, this moment I did it, and this moment I've never done it or thought about it again. It's
Yeah.
generally a process. And there's nothing wrong, in my view, with two steps forward and one step back, because you will get to your destination if you do it that way, right? And that over time, even in my own life, I have felt these degrees becoming more and more profound. In other words, I still have the ability to get angry, but it takes way more to get me to that place than it used to. And when I get there, I don't stay there as I have an awareness of what's going on. And I know how being exhausted is related to a conflict with my wife, for example. And even in the moment, I can see things and it just doesn't last as long. I used to go into like this shell for 3 days,
Yeah.
where I had almost like blinders on and I didn't want to talk and I just wanted to be. And now that might be like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 3 minutes. I can feel this old thing coming up and I can recognize it and go, oh, there you are. It
Yeah.
doesn't rule my life anymore. But that's not a black and white light switch situation.
But that's what I
And so,
think people are trying to get, which is what I was trying to get for a long time because I didn't understand. We always talk about failure. Like if you didn't stop eating X by Monday, you're a failure. And I'm like, no, 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 no. What lessons do you learn from that? Like it is like sometimes you have to go backwards. Even when you're getting healthy, there's something called healing crisis, right? Like there's
mhm,
always, or when you renovate your kitchen, it's going to get messy before it looks beautiful
yes.
again. And yet we look at ourselves and we think that shouldn't happen to us, that I should be, you know. The binary system. I love that. Like 0 to 1. And it's not that. We're messy humans living in this world. And I think as soon as we can have that mindset shift to say, it's okay to be messy. And this is what I did. I call it practice and play, journey to vibrant living, have fun, find the joy, laugh when you mess up and go, oh my gosh, look, I
Hmm.
just repeated a pattern, but I'm at least aware of that
Yeah.
pattern. That's something that I noticed is I spend a lot of my time in being defensive. And I denied being defensive because I didn't think I was defensive. And my husband's like, you're so defensive. I'm like, I'm not defensive. And then I realized it was a protection that I was
Sure.
protecting a part of myself. But what really also hit the nail on the head was I would see my children being defensive. And I thought, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that is a protection. And so
Yes.
my kids have been huge teachers for my growth in
Yeah,
life.
me too.
Huge, if you're willing to look at what they're teaching you, right? And so I now invite triggers and things like this into my life because that's shining a light on where I need to grow, right? And so yeah, so I've really worked on my defensiveness. It's actually very freeing not to defend myself and just like you said, I used to like spend half an hour defending myself and now I go, I don't need to defend myself. But I didn't get there overnight. And before that, I didn't even realize it. So that's just one example.
Yeah. What can simplify a lot of this for your listeners is thinking about the autonomic nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So the autonomic just means automatic, and it runs all your body functions and reactions. And this is what happens when you're startled or something. If you walk around the corner and there's a snake in, big snake in your garden or something, you're going to move instantly without thinking about it into a sympathetic fight or flight response. And the autonomic nervous system only has two modes. It's got fight or flight, it's got rest and digest. That's it. And what I've realized over time is that every thought we think, every word we hear is going to be interpreted ultimately by the autonomic nervous system in the blink of an eye as either dangerous or safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And a defensive response means that something happened. Your husband said or did or didn't say something or looked at you in a certain way that immediately triggered not safe. And so you moved into defend. So what options do you have when you're startled? Well, everyone freezes. That's the first thing. And then you either fight or you run.
Mm-hmm.
Defensiveness is a form of a sympathetic response. And so in these moments, you can literally ask yourself, you can say, am I in danger right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing about the autonomic nervous system is it treats danger as an immediate physical threat to your safety. There are no shades of this, right? That when you have a problem with your kids, when they're not listening to you, and you can feel your body being hijacked by anger, for example, this is the autonomic nervous system saying not safe. And then the conscious mind, if you say, am I really in danger now with my 3-year-old? Well, no. Just like you said, do I need to be defensive here? Actually, I don't.
No.
So my approach with all of this stuff is, again, to find the root of it, because it's going to be some incident in the past that the subconscious took on as a trauma and it's holding on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is to find the specific instance and to neutralize that, to resolve it, so that when in the future you're triggered, you don't have the automatic response.
Mm-hmm.
You have clarity. Your thinking stays in your prefrontal cortex, which is where it is during the rest and digest, rather than the lizard brain that's only concerned with your physical survival. And in that window, in that time, you can think through more creatively and more calmly how to deal with your 3-year-old, how to deal with your husband or your wife, how to deal with this employee that's behaving in a certain way, rather than having your body get hijacked as though you were being attacked by a tiger or a lion.
Mm-hmm. Something I learned was pause. That's
Mhm.
what I had to retrain my system. So, just again going back to food, I would be frustrated and I'd be eating and I'd be like,
Mhm.
why am I eating? Right? And so and then I'm like, oh, I'm frustrated. And then I'm like, well, is this going to help this or make it worse? And so what I then started to do was I'd be like, okay, I'm feeling frustrated. Okay, you're feeling frustrated. Okay. So what? Eating is not going to take away the frustration. Eating's actually going to pile on guilt and shame and regret. And now I'm going to have to deal with four or more emotions before I get back to, I'm frustrated. Okay. And so again, this is the practice part of it. And, being in my world too, people will say, tell me the four things to eat to lose weight. And I'm like, it's not about that. It's not about that. And this is why, and like one of my big, my first episode to this podcast was stop falling for the shiny stars because the diet industry is just preying and stealing your money because that's not the answer. The answer is inside of you, willing to do the work, not just with food, but with all the things, so that you grow and you look at things entirely differently. Like I'm sad on one hand that it took me, 30 years to figure this out. But I'm not sad that it could have taken me 60. So no matter where you are, you can just start right now. Because remember, right now is only right now. Um, let's just say I have two questions here. Your autonomic nervous system. So this was something else I learned about the nervous system. Like you said, that autonomic nervous system, bang, it's on, right? And we live in a world where we are whew, like on a lot. And again, we can get addicted to that feeling of always being in that stress cycle. That's why I say to people, I'm not even going to ask you if you're stressed because most of us are just have acclimatized to this new level. The question is, when you go to relax, what does that feel like? And so I know when I was starting on this journey and I would start to relax, I felt uncomfortable because I didn't know how to relax. I actually had anxiety. I actually had hives come out in my body. I was jittery. I had all these things because my body had no idea how to relax. And so instead of distracting myself, which is what a lot of us do, right? It's learning, and this is
Mhm.
what I teach women and whoever comes to see me is how to sit in discomfort of just understanding that that is your system trying to bring you back down into a parasympathetic rest digest state. And so that took me, some time just to allow my body to feel safe being in that relaxed state because I hadn't been there in a long time. And that included doing fascia work, some mindset work, and again, all of these health tools, everybody. So don't just attach to one thing. And this is why I say to people like, oh my God, stop talking about food and exercise. Even though I'm a trainer and nutrition and all this other stuff, this is why I have done mindset work with people, is that's the thing right there. That's the thing. And to bring ourselves back into calm, I said in one of my videos, takes 5 minutes. What I meant was it takes at least 5 minutes and more, because it can take a long time to bring yourself back into this regulated nervous system state. So anything you'd like to say on that? And then I have another question.
Well, sure. So one of my early pieces of awareness with weight loss and stress is that, as you know, when you're stressed out, your body dumps cortisol
Mm-hmm.
and adrenaline into your bloodstream. And the adrenaline gives you the energy to fight or to run away, which is also what coffee does. I mean, coffee stimulates an artificial stress response. But the second thing that it does is it dumps cortisol into your bloodstream. And cortisol is an evolutionary mechanism that has probably helped us survive to this point
Mm-hmm.
because it tells the body, hold on to all available fat
Mm-hmm.
and go get more. So there's a direct between your levels of stress. And as you said, in modern culture, it's
Oh,
probably never been this high.
never. No.
And, and the weight problems have probably never been this significant. So in order to get control of your weight, you have to get control over the stress by definition. And that's not even adding in another factor, which is what everyone knows, and that's what we call emotional eating
Oh,
or
oh,
stress eating,
yes. I was there
right?
for years.
So yeah, I mean that's if people are listening that want to lose weight, no matter what diet you're on, you still have to get control over your levels of stress, because if you don't, you're going to be fighting your own autonomic nervous system,
Yeah.
primarily with the release of cortisol.
Yeah. That's
You
why
know,
when
and
somebody
all of
asks me,
this,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, all of it, stress just means in the situation where you find yourself now, primarily the thoughts that are going on in your head. It's telling you you're not safe. It's telling you there is an immediate danger in front of you. And this is one of the techniques that you can use in your meditation or whatever you're doing, yoga or Tai Chi or self-hypnosis. It's just, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And then talk to your body. Tell your body, you're safe to relax, body. Right now, you have 5 minutes. Right now, you have 10 minutes. Whatever it is, you're safe to relax. Because then you're going right at what is causing the stress. Even if you don't know specifically what it is, telling this part of your body as though this part of your body is, or this part of your mind and your body is like a 4-year-old. It's safe. You know, if a little kid is scared of the dark and you bring them back to their room and you sit with them and you speak to them softly and you say, I'm right here, you're safe. We looked under the bed. There's nothing under the bed that you have to worry about. This is your room. You're safe here. I'm just down the hallway. It's safe for you to go to sleep. That's what we say to them. This is what we should be saying to our own autonomic nervous system, our own subconscious mind, and our body.
I teach something that like the butterfly touch, something like this, because if you and I will say, I am safe, because your brain goes, oh, she can't be running from a tiger and touching her body and saying I'm safe. And so you start to dismantle that connection.
And you're also building a new connection between whatever emotion or feeling that you're giving yourself and that word. You're linking those together. So in the future, every time you do it, you're strengthening it. So you'll get to a certain point where you wouldn't even have to think I'm safe. Your body has already, or your mind has already linked those two things together.
That's a new neural connection, everybody. A new wiring. Now, you are writing or have written, or it's going to be happening here, Healing the Wounds of Time. So I'd like to talk about your book for a second, but I have a question, because I've been hearing about that when so I have children, of course, I have parents. I no longer have grandparents alive, but when I heal myself, when I do this work on myself, I am helping my children
Yeah.
release their patterns and past my parents and grandparents. Okay, now that's a bit of a mind bend, but I truly believe it. I believe it because I know that when I work on being calm and centered, everybody else around me just comes into that vibrational energy, I like to say, that being. But how, like, can you expand on that a little bit more? And does this tie into, like, it sounds like something with your book, Healing the Wounds of Time, how this can interlace?
Sure. Well, and let's go back to what we talked about before, that there are quantum mechanics, quantum physicists tell us there is no time, that time is an illusion created by a planet rotating on its own axis and orbiting the sun. That's what gives us day and night. That's what gives us the seasons. And you can easily imagine that just outside of that paradigm, there is no time. I also established already that the subconscious mirrors that quantum reality. There is no time. So if that's true, then let's say that you heal something, a relationship, because usually we're hurt, we're injured, wounded in relationship. If you heal something in your consciousness, I'm saying you're healing it in the quantum field. And every human being is intimately attached to the quantum field, which has no time. So if you heal something, then it stands to reason that that would positively affect other individuals that you're connected to in that quantum field. Science describes this in a different way because they've done these studies where they traumatize a mouse. Let's say they give it an electric shock, and I'm just making some of the details up, but you'll get the idea. In the presence of a smell like lavender. And then that mouse has a child mouse, and the child mouse has a grandchild mouse. And then they expose the grandchild mouse to lavender, and it behaves as though it's been given a shock. And they say, well, that's passed through the DNA, which may be true. But the fact remains that even mainstream science has proven that there's this linkage, an ancestral linkage between trauma and what a person's going through now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen things in my practice that I don't know how you answer this logically. There was this man, he was like a contractor at the time. I think he was about 43, and he had this terrible relationship with his father, just awful. And he and I in my office did some work on this. We went back in time in his consciousness to when he was a kid, a little kid, and we helped to heal some of the trauma between him and his dad. The next time he came into my office about a week later, he said, "You're not going to believe this. After I left here, meaning my office, I went to my parents' house, which I do, once or twice a week, and have dinner with them. And the way it normally rolls is I sit at the kitchen table with my father and my mother, and we all basically eat in silence. And sometimes I talk to my mother, and my father never says anything. And then he gets up and he goes and he sits in his chair and starts watching TV. He said, right after I left the office, the exact same thing happened. But when the dad sat in his chair, he said he turned around, looked at his wife and his son, and he said to both of them, "I'm really sorry I've been such an asshole throughout your whole life."
Mm.
He'd never, ever apologized to his son before for anything. And it's seemingly out of the blue on that particular day, within a couple hours after us working on this happens.
Yeah.
To me, and I've seen this kind of thing many, 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 many times over the past 20 years with countless clients. That seems to me to be an example of that ancient concept that we're all connected, probably through what we would now call the quantum field.
Yeah, the quantum stuff. I've been studying it for a few, like, I don't know, 5 years or something, and it's crazy. Like it's incredible. It gives me so much power and confidence and hope. It's funny that you said that about the father, because my dad, he's 81. He's very emotionally stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And he recently lost his wife, my stepmother, which was, a whole other story. But we were just together, and my dad said, and this is like really crazy when he talks about this, but my sister and I have been doing a lot of work on releasing things. And my dad said, he spent so much of his life in anger towards his father because he wasn't parented, because his dad, and he says, you know what? So my dad's learning to forgive because he realized that his dad never had a dad. His dad left him, deserted him at the age of 7. And so my dad is coming at this with a whole new perspective of that there's nothing wrong with me. I was not bad, but that's his dad couldn't parent him. So my dad's been holding on to these feelings of unworthiness and not being loved and accepted. And so when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, you've just had a level of healing. Like I just see the softness coming back into him, because his dad became a workaholic. My dad was a workaholic, not necessarily around us all the time. And I have workaholic tendencies, but it's interesting, again, just to really, I love diving deep and being questioning and curious, and again looking at this with joy. But what I also understand in this world is that when you are stressed, like we talked about, you're too much in your lizard brain, and you don't have the capacity to question and feel joy and surrender. And so how can we get our listen, I say be the change you want to see in the world. So I am sitting here in hope and love and grace and compassion and expansive, like my whole body just vibrates all the time, because I know that, like you just said, I am connecting. So I do not spend a lot of time in worry, guilt, shame, anger. And if I notice those things, I I let them go because I realize that when I'm holding those vibrations, I'm bringing people down. So I've really consciously, selfishly want more people in these higher vibrations to have this beautiful experience of being more clear and curious that I, instead of trying to change people or fix people, I'm just being a beacon of light. And I believe that's, what my passion is through all the years that I've been in this industry is to be a light. And I really understand that now at such a deep level.
Yeah, yeah, I get that for sure.
Hmm.
Is there a question in there that you were going to ask?
Well, I think what the thing is that stop looking for outside things to fix you,
Hmm.
right? And start to realize that your energy, your words, your essence is in this quantum field, what is going to, I don't know, expand, elevate, whatever you want. So it starts with you. It starts with you.
It does, and that's making me think about the metaphor of a house. There's so many people I think that wouldn't think of letting their house
Oh,
become so filthy that there were rats running around in it.
yeah.
That there was, and I know that there are some people like that, but most people I think are clean. They
Hmm.
want a clean house. They want it orderly. They don't want there to be rotting food around. They don't want there to be rats and cockroaches and ants. And so as things, get messy or whatever, they'll clean them up.
Hmm.
And it's the same with our mind,
Hmm.
and it's not a one and done, as we were saying before, just like your house isn't. You could have, the best cleaning team come into your house and make it look spotless, but how long is it going to be that way if you don't maintain it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make sense that you would need to do a deep clean every so often
Yeah.
and then just sort of keep it organized and up to date? It's the same with our mind.
Hmm.
And there's so much crap in there, especially the older you get, because you've had more time to accumulate stuff. Just like a house that was built 50 years ago is going to need more work than a house that was built 5 years ago.
Yeah. Great analogy.
And I think it's important to think about it that way, not as you said before. It's not a failure that your house, needs maintenance. It's not a failure that your house
Mm.
needs to be cleaned from time to time. That needs to be dusted. That things need to get picked up. That you need to get stuff that used to have value, but it no longer serves a purpose. So it's time to give it away. It's time to throw it away.
Oh,
It's the same with us.
beautiful. I love it because you know what? I think people think they get to a certain point and then they don't have to grow anymore. They don't have to do anything else, right? They're just like, and this is the whole why I have the journey to vibrant living. It's a journey. It's a journey. Like I wrote down two things is that you update your phone all the time. Like your phone updates.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's, and again, I'm not going to harbor any more on like negativity, but it saddens me how little we know about our bodies. Like we just do not. It is the most magnificent
Yeah.
machine. The I think we are still only at the bare surface of what we know about our body. I mean, and there's some really, I've been looking into spatial medicine, oh, with fascia. I just think oh my gosh, I don't it's mind blowing what's happening, mind blowing. And I'm into light. I understand light.
Me
I
too.
understand,
Yeah.
yeah, I understand our own healing energy of our body. I mean, that's where I'm going, and you're starting to see more and more of this stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't get into medical text. I just interviewed I never say this word right, an anesthesiologist, and she confirmed what I already knew, but it's nice to hear it from a doctor. She says it takes 20 years for things to become into a textbook to be taught. And I'm hoping that speeds up because, which it is with the internet, people can go right to the source. So this is why I have so much hope right now. I have so much hope that people will really start to like update their bodies, learn new, be curious about your body. And you know, what else did I write here? Oh, just treating our mind and body with respect. I just love how you said like your house, your car, all of these things, like they get more respect sometimes than you give yourself. Like you are worthy of respecting yourself. And so I think this whole self-worth, because I think about 5 years ago I was walking down a road and I just went, you know what, I'm tired of that tape, I'm not worth it, I'm freaking worth it, I'm worth it, I'm worth it. And so I'm just like, I'm worth it. But that's being egotistical, that's being selfish. So those voices come in and I go, no, it's not. No, it's not. So it's like this constant, oh my gosh, game sometimes just to stand in your own worth because we've been so conditioned to
Hmm.
not think that we're worthy. And I'm tired of
Hmm.
it. I'm tired.
Hmm.
It's draining.
Hmm.
I am
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. I think that's a really important concept that we were, like fish born into the water in which we swim. And
Hmm.
our perspective is naturally very limited from that vantage point. And that so much of the programming that we
Mm.
received occurred when we were very small children, when we don't have any kind of filter, when incidentally we are by definition in hypnosis the whole time from birth until sometime between the ages of 7 and 9 years old. You are
Yeah.
in hypnosis the whole time. And that's why they say children are like sponges, because it's a state of hyper learning.
Yeah.
And then that door, that window closes. And now learning something is much harder. And
Not
so,
impossible, not
no, no,
impossible,
no,
but
no.
harder.
And that's
You
what
got
we're
to be
talking
willing to
about. We're
do the
talking
work.
about relearning certain things or unlearning things and learning new things. And it's always going to be, I'll bring back to that concept of the autonomic nervous system. Is something perceived as safe or is it perceived as dangerous? Because if it's perceived as dangerous, you're going to go into a stress response and you're probably going to be compelled to do something to distract you. It could be shopping compulsively. That might be your thing. Or it might be drinking wine every night, right? Or it might be watching porn, or it might be eating sweet things because it's distracting you from something that's uncomfortable right below it.
Oh yeah.
But here's the other thing I want to say, which is the purpose of pain. So you can have emotional pain, spiritual pain, psychological pain, and physical pain. The purpose of pain is to get you to stop and pay attention to where the pain is emanating from. Our culture largely tells us to narcotize it, to numb it, to distract yourself from it, rather than say, why am I having this pain? Why am I feeling like I'm not worthy? That's pain. Where did that come from?
Hmm.
Let me trace that like a car mechanic to its root cause. And I won't have to install a fan to blow away the smoke. I'll get to the root cause and fix that.
Hmm. That's the clients I love that come and see me when they come in for weight loss or better health, and then I'm like, okay, okay, here's a little of what you want and here's some of here's some of the
Yeah.
other things, because I believe in root cause. Now it's going to take long, it might take longer. Okay, but it's going to, but you know what? I did exactly all the things you were saying with the pain. I just numbed myself out for so long because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to process it. We live in a different time now, so we have more tools. So that's awesome. But yeah, pain is a teacher. Pain is your teacher. So instead of, you know, my husband and I, like if I have a headache, I mean this may sound crazy, but I don't take Tylenol. I will
Hmm.
allow it to go. And I could spend 2 hours talking about this. But
Hmm.
I will block, I will do fascia work because pressure over time releases pain. I will change my environment. I'll do different things, but I'm have learned for a very long time not to numb or take that pain away because there's a message behind it, and to
Hmm.
really look deeper behind it as to maybe I've been too stressed. Maybe I'm not, like just to really turn inward. And so I'm the crazy one with here's an essential oil, or let's go for a walk, or,
Hmm.
do you need to journal? And everybody's like, oh, have you taken Sinutab? And I'm like, no, because then if you read Barbara Wren's work, Again, you can go down that rabbit hole. So what just about light? You said about light, and then we'll finish with that question and then we'll wrap it up here because I know we could just keep going and
Yeah,
going.
right. It's probably the same stuff that you've been looking into, which is how intrinsic the light of the sun is to our physical and
Mm,
mental health.
mm,
That our circadian rhythm, yes, but our endocrine system, our hormones,
hmm.
are intimately tied with getting natural light in the morning, especially. And that all of this artificial light, particularly the blue light that comes from our devices, is so damaging and confusing to our pineal gland and the master controller of our endocrine system and the release of different kinds of hormones. And that it makes so much sense
Oh, I
that
know.
humanity, for most of our existence, was in electrical contact with the surface of the earth, either through bare feet or leather-soled shoes. And now we have rubber shoes. Now we're mostly inside. For most of humanity, we went to sleep when it got dark, and we woke up when the sun rose. And now it's like blue light, blue light, blue light, fluorescent lights, LED lights, and it makes sense to me that that would cause our system to go a little haywire, and that we would have a constellation of symptoms around that. And then even weight loss, how intimately that's
Oh,
tied
I know.
with the sun. Holy moly. Like if the sun is shining on your skin, you're actually able to burn fat cells. I think it's mental actually.
Yeah.
And that the seed oils in the
Oh,
food make it more likely you're going to get sunburned. And that wearing sunglasses messes you up.
yeah.
And it makes you more sensitive and squinty to the sun if you've grown accustomed to having sunglasses on. So, yes, the light is, not surprisingly, when you really think about it, part of our existence on this planet. And to shut it out, and for the mental cases on a national stage to be talking about blocking it out,
Oh, I know.
is
It's
the most
crazy.
insane thing I can imagine.
Yeah. No, I've done many a podcast in like episode on light, blue light, wearing sunglasses. I talk about the history of how all these things, when you understand the history of things, it really makes you, aha, the chaoticness, you're more controllable when you're in chaos because you have fear. Like when you really start, and then they're, making the sun evil. But why didn't, like, if you start to look at history, it's just not true. Like they're blatant lies. They're blatant lies. Um,
Mhm.
and I've done a lot of episodes, and I mean, you and I could just do a whole podcast topic on that alone. I'll leave the listeners with the sun is not evil. It is like anybody that goes on vacation, like that lives in the cold and goes somewhere hot, just feels like a girlfriend of me just texted me because she's in Northern Ontario and she went to Mexico and she said, Tanya, I got off the plane and I felt my anxiety disappear. I felt rejuvenated. That's the power of the sun. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. So do not fear the sun. Do not fear the sun. Um, but we could be little whatevers because we're saying this, but this is like what I'm hoping with my shining the light on people is you start to ask different questions and start to look at the research on blue light and cancer and blue light and chronic disease and blue light. It's not good. So,
It wasn't that long ago that people who had chronic illnesses, I'm talking about maybe 100 years ago, they would take them to a sanitarium.
yeah, yeah,
And in the
heliotherapy.
sanitarium, a big part of their treatment was they'd wheel them out into the sun. This
Mm-hmm.
is like before antibiotics and a lot of the treatments that they use now. They would wheel them out and just park them in the sun
But
because
there's no money in the sun, Peter. There's no money in the sun.
the sun is the giver of life.
I
What
know.
happens if you take your plants out of the sun? What
Yeah.
happens? What happens if you take away water from your plants? They're
No,
going to die.
but this is where people like need to come back to common sense
Yeah.
thinking.
Agreed.
You know,
Yeah.
and I just had another conversation with a girl. We went for a walk on the beach, and she's like, how can you not be wearing sunglasses? Now, I used to wear sunglasses a lot, and then I learned about
Mm-hmm.
sunglasses and my
Me too.
eyes. And I'm not saying don't wear sunglasses. There's a time, but for the
Yeah.
most time, you should not be wearing sunglasses. So maybe put a hat on. But the other thing is that if you are really sensitive to the sun, that is a, oh my gosh, I need to not be sensitive to the sun. And you can do it strategically by getting your eyes out early in the morning without
Mm-hmm.
sunglasses, and you can begin to train yourself to not be wearing sunglasses all the time. The other thing with burning from the sun is the same thing. I just did an episode on this, is learning how to use the spring sunshine to, you live in Florida, so it's different for you, but for us northerners, is that you start to get out in the sunlight so that your body adapts, your melatonin production gets on board, all of these things start to happen so that you don't stay inside until July 1st and then you go outside and you burn, right? And so there's the we've lost our, like you said, our outside time, our all of these things, and we just have been um convinced that being inside all the time and avoiding the sun is a good thing. It's not. It's just not.
Well, and the other, I completely agree with everything you're saying, and also we're not doctors, so don't listen to what I'm saying, but do your own research. When you hear, I just heard RFK Jr. talking about how 76.4% of Americans have a chronic disease.
Yeah.
According to Harvard and their recent classification of what obesity means, 70% of Americans are obese.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing these illnesses in children that were formerly only seen rarely in elderly people. So my point is, whoever's presiding over this system, all the so-called health professionals who are presiding over this and the advice they're giving people, these are the results.
Yeah.
By their fruits, you shall know them.
Mm-hmm.
The farmer is selling you rotten fruit. Maybe some of their farming practices are off. Maybe how they tell you to farm or garden might be a little off.
Yeah.
And it's important, as you said, to ask yourself a question. Is the sun really dangerous? Are
Mm-hmm.
our bodies not designed through countless generations to exist in some degree of sunlight?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are the people giving the advice, are they presiding over a system of radiantly healthy people, or are they hopelessly sick?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody get cured from any of these things?
Well, some people would say, but it's your genetics. And I say to that, no, it's not. And I could go down another deep rabbit hole. It's our environment and epigenetics. So you can, again, I've done episodes. You just, again, you have to want to come back to common sense, to come back. I even say to people, just think about 1980. It's not even that long ago, how
Yeah.
you woke up in the morning. You didn't stare at a phone. You probably went to bed earlier. You had incandescent light bulbs. You spent more time outside. You drank from a hose. You didn't drink out of plastic. Like, it wasn't that long ago. Do not forget. Do not forget. Okay? It's not that long ago. So,
Hmm.
all right. I mean, oh my gosh, I love our conversation today. I love it. You're speaking my language. Before I hit play today with you, record, I went on your YouTube channel, your Blue Sky Hypnosis, and I got lulled in. I got lulled into one of your hypnotherapy sessions. Your voice is beautiful.
Thank you.
So by all means, sign up for his Blue Sky Hypnosis session or YouTube channel. And is there any last words you would like to say? Is there where can people find you?
Well, I'll start with where they can find me, which is my website, which is also called blueskyhypnosis.com. And I guess the final message is that whatever you're dealing with, however difficult it may appear, however hopeless it may appear, it has a root cause. Nothing in this universe occurs in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And you are being invited to put on your explorer's hat and follow that trail back to whatever caused this in the first place and to resolve it. And once you resolve what is at the root, whatever the symptoms are either going to go away or they're going to get significantly diminished.
Mm-hmm.
And that attitude, I believe, can give one hope and courage and the ability to persevere even when things seem bleak, or as we might say, when things seem dark, right? Because we've always associated the sun with optimism, with health, with life, with growth, with clarity, and the darkness with confusion, right? Even the darkness with evil. So that's what I want the final message, I guess, for today to be.
Perfect. I'm going to seal it here. And maybe one day we do a deeper dive. I love talking about this. I love making people wake up and be a little more curious than they were yesterday. So thank you everybody for listening today. I hope you've been awakened, lightened, intrigued. Please go check out Blue Sky Hypnosis. And if this resonated with you and you know a friend, family member, somebody who this episode would, just perk them up, inspire them, by all means, please share, spread the word. Peter and I are coming to you with lots of love in our heart and lots of light, and we just want this world to be a brighter place. So thank you for listening today, everybody, and we'll see you in the next episode.